Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. You know what? I can't do this unless I get some applause. Can I get some applause from the audience? Because we're doing this in front of a live audience. Now I can do this. All right. You don't have to stand up. Just no standing ovation. No. Welcome to GBH Amplifies. This is a weekly community conversation series that aims to expand the reach of local voices, so our guests are local, and provides a platform to inclusive perspectives on the issues that matter to the different communities. Today, we're going to talk about something very, very interesting. Two subject matters, but we're going to get into other stuff. So this is a show that hopefully, here are the three things that we want you to do. We want you to learn, right? So we're going to teach. Hopefully you'll like, but we'll definitely make you laugh. So that's the 3 L's that we're going to do today, all right? All right, as a preview, we will explore the outrage over the recent exclusion of all Latino City Council candidates from major newspaper endorsements and how the community is responding to that. We'll also do something really nice and positive. There is an event here. There is a party. There is a celebration. There is whatever word you want to call this, but this is something if you're viewing this and you live out in the suburbs or you're not really into Latino, you've probably never gone, and it's something you should because it is in its 36th year. It is New England's largest Latino holiday celebration, and it's got behind it a great cause. You see it up on screen. It's the 36th Annual El Jolgorio Navideño, and it pays tributes to the community leaders. It supports the program's essential culturally sustaining mentorship and leadership program, ensuring the community that strengthens its future, and it's put together by an organization called TAG. Does anybody know what TAG means?
Ooh, talented and gifted.
Talented and gifted. Exactly what that studio audience is. You're talented. You're not so much, but you're gifted. You're gifted. So I like this audience already. All right, let me introduce the guests and the host. I'm the host, Alberto Vasallo. The guest to my far right, Ilich Doctora.
Gracias.
Doctor, right?
Sí, doctora,
Doctora Ilich N. Taura. She represented El Jolgorio Navideño, right?
Yes.
When did you become a doctor?
June. I defended
What type of doctor?
June. I'm a philosophical doctor. I got my PhD in educational leadership.
Oh, I was going to ask you about my pain. I was going to ask her about my pain in the back if you're a doctor. Okay, I'm just kidding. All right, to her left and my right, the only time you'll be here to my right. Politically.
Good point.
Yeah.
This actually,
yes.
both of us.
Doug Chavez, political strategist of the Chavez Group. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias. Hello, everyone.
Oh, before we go, we have a tradition here. We'll come back to this. Elich, what countries, other than the United States, because obviously we're in the U.S., do you also feel part of because of your parents?
Well, proudly born and raised in Boston, mexicana y hondureña también orgullosamente.
Mexican and Honduras, all right. Doug.
Proudly born in New York City.
Sorry, I'm sorry to hear that. So sorry.
I've been in Boston for most of the last 20 years, and I represent my mother's from Colombia, and my father's from Costa Rica.
So you're half Colombian.
Half Tico.
Half. Now, I, for the record, are half Cuban and half Ecuadorian. And that young man back there is half asleep. Could someone please wake him up? Wake that half asleep guy. All right. To my left is my bestie. Her name is Grace Moreno, and she's here with the Unidos in Power hat, but she has worn many hats before. But today, Grace, tell us a little bit about Unidos in Power and what that stands for.
Thank you, Alberto. And hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. As Javier, Albert, what's your name?
My name is Alberto.
Jose,
Hold on.
Who am I?
I'll answer to Javier, but I'm going to write this down
Yeah,
for you.
thank you.
In big letters right there. See? Alberto.
Right, okay, thank you. It's hard to remember your name. Yeah, you're so forgettable.
Yes, I know.
Kidding, no. Unidos in Power is a coalition of statewide leaders from across the state. What happened was a couple of folks were sitting around a fire about 4 years ago, and prominent Dr. Joe Betancourt and Secretary of Labor Rosa Costa and Alberto Vasallo, and they were like, there's not enough of us here. What's happening? What's happening with our community? Why aren't we using the power we have to access to people and to things to elevate the story of our community? And from there was born Unidos in Power. It's a coalition of about 1,200 people from across the state, a very active WhatsApp group of about 150 people where we activate in seconds, a steering committee of about 35 people, and a executive committee of 4. I work as a staffer for Unidos in Power. in a consultant position, and our job is to bring all of the voices all united, and make sure that when we have a statement to make, we make it together because it's louder. So it's a very powerful organization, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to come together.
And we're going to get into this in a few moments. You do have a statement. You have a very strong statement that you made a couple of weeks ago, right before the local elections. We're going to give you the details in a bit, but I want to introduce to my far, far left a good friend, Selena Barrios, Unidos en Power as well. Welcome again to GBH Amplifies.
Thank you.
And you represent
Venezuela.
Venezuela. Huh?
Grace, what does she represent?
Oh, I know what she represents. Oh, you mean, yeah. What country, Grace?
Mira, yo soy 100% mexicana hasta las botas.
Okay. We have
Viva Mexico.
Sandra Lopez Burke also here.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
yes.
So Venezuela, Mexico, Ecuador, Cuba, Colombia, Costa Rica,
México y Honduras.
Mexico, Honduras. You see the variety, right? But we're here to talk about what we have in common, right? Which again, many times, part of the show, we'll talk about this conversation. See that guy right there? I have more in common with him. That guy right there, so raise your hand. You, yeah. My 50-50 guy, right? We probably have a lot more in common than we think once we get into this. Same thing here. Just because we're Latinos, sometimes we have differences, we have opinions, we have different commonalities, but a lot of times we don't get to talk about what connects humans to humans, right? So today we are going to talk about something that's important to Unidos en Power, and this was an omission. Before we get to El Jolgorio, I want these three politically minded folks. This is what happened. Both the Boston Globe and the Boston Herald chose to exclude every Latino candidate from the City Council at large race that just happened, even though the candidates that they ignored had earned significantly higher vote totals in the primary, two of which were incumbents, okay? So, now, remember what we're talking about. We're talking about the city of Boston, where since 1980, so Larry Bird's first year, who remembers Larry Bird's first year, right? Since Larry Bird's first year, 92% of this city's growth is due to the Latino community. 92% of Boston's growth. What's our ranking in the Boston Public Schools?
45% of the public schools are Latinos.
Exactly. 20% of our Boston population. So with this omission, what was your initial reaction? I'm going to actually go through the whole panel because, Elise, I want to include you in here too, because one of your friends was one of the first people that wrote about this, right? Awesome. So what was your initial reaction as an individual and then as a group? Tell me.
You know, one of the things that was happening at the time is there's so much coming at us right now in the Latino community, right? So when it first happened, we kind of reacted a little late on it because we were also dealing with immigration issues where some of our colleagues were being threatened, their lives were being threatened, who were actually working in the front lines of protecting some of the people out there. So when it came up, it was a bit of disbelief and, you know, okay, yes, but there are people that lives are being threatened, so let's focus on that. It wasn't until like 2 or 3 days later that actually Selena was like, what happened? What? Who? And she actually brought it up, and Doug chimed in to say, hey, we know we have bigger fish to fry, but this happened, right? And so our reaction to it right away, and I'll pass it over to Selena, was to say, what? We have two incumbents who have the majority of votes out there from the primary. They have a record of really representing our community and other communities in a very solid way. And we have folks on the ballot that didn't even get a third of the votes that the other candidates had. And why are they being endorsed and not the Latino candidates? And so from that kind of came a conversation, and I'll pass it over to Selena, of how we came together to try to address it.
What was your reaction, Selena?
Well, I'll give you a little history lesson. So I've been in Boston 25 years and was part of working with Felix Arroyo, who was the first Latino not only to be on the city council, but to represent, to hold a citywide position in the city of Boston. And since that time, the council has gotten much more diverse in terms of representation of women, people of color, and Latinos, you know. And so I remember back then, like we made history by his victory, and it was this, not just a celebration for the Latino community, but it was a point of pride for Boston that we could have a Puerto Rican citywide representative. And then to have this race, which was historic, we actually had 4 Latinos on the ballot, depending on where you live in the city, 3 for at-large. 1 was a district candidate, and there was complete erasure, like complete ignorance, like we didn't exist. And it's really a point of pride in our city that we have this many people that are leading, that are bringing the community together, that are qualified, and they're completely overlooked. I can see if you don't want to endorse all four, I personally think you should, but to completely ignore all of them was disrespectful, and it feels sometimes like they want us to be on the Red Sox. They want, it's like, when are Latinos at the table and when are they not, right? They want us to be entertainers. They want us to be athletes. But we're also civic leaders, and we also have policy ideas, and we also have track records, and we have communities behind us that are also erased by ignoring our leaders.
And just to give the folks a little context, how many of them actually won?
So two won in at large, and the district councilor, who was an incumbent, also won, Enrique Pepin.
So 3 of the 4
Three of
that
the
were
four.
not endorsed
Right.
Still one.
still won. Still won,
Yeah.
and by large margins, by the way, very impressively. It wasn't even close. Doug, when you heard about this, you're a political strategist, I remember you saying, I'm not surprised. Why were you not surprised?
I'm not surprised because given the climate we're in now, there's a lot of anti-immigrant, anti-Latino backlash, and it's almost like we don't count, we don't matter. And I felt the media was jumping on board that as well. And although we're the fastest growing population, it's hard. As you mentioned earlier, we're not a monolithic group, so we don't always agree. We're not always united on the same issues and goals, but we still matter. We still count. And I was furious. I felt it was a slap in the face. It was a slap in the face that the media would just completely ignore our candidates. Full transparency, I worked with Boston City Council at large, Julia Mejia, when she was first elected by 1 vote in 2019, made history. And I'm not talking about some low, it was like 22,492 to 22,491. She was elected by 1 vote.
And everybody takes credit for that 1 vote, by the way. Whenever they see Julia, they say, I was the one that voted for you, right?
And she was the first Latina, so think about this, in Boston ever elected to the Boston City Council. We had the Arroyos that Selena, my colleague Selena mentioned, and she was the first actually Latino not named Arroyo who was elected to the Boston City Council. So she made history. And as we mentioned, we have other elected officials now who are Latino, Henry Santana, Enrique Pepin. And I've been in Boston now working on politics for over 20 years, worked for Governor Deval Patrick, his campaign for Senator Ed Markey. And I have never seen the media endorse the 7th, nothing against them personally, actually.
They were good people. They were
Good people, but they were way behind 7th and 8th. I'm a big fan of them as well, and it takes a lot to run for office, so I commend them, not taking away from them. But I've never seen the Globe endorse the 7th and 8th place and to make clear to the audience, from the preliminary election in September. So the media, the Globe and Herald endorsed after the preliminary.
Yep. And now let's mention too, the 3 that I'm questioning, no scandals around them. By and large, I think widely accepted by the community. They've represented well the community. We can honestly say you may not always agree with everything, but they are accessible to the community. And we're talking about a community that is 20%, and 46, 47, 48% are Boston Public Schools. So what the Globe and the Herald said was basically, there should be no Latino representation in the Boston City Council. That's what, in effect, it would say.
That's how we took it.
That's how some people felt it. But the thing to look at here, right, and yes, it was a slap in the face and we were all enraged, but what has happened since then, right, for us in Unidos in Power and that WhatsApp group and the larger community, is that we've kind of been like, hey, we need to make more noise. We need to get louder about this. What is their process? The Globe has a process that they're not going to disclose because that's what editorial boards do. Like, that's not just the Globe. That's journalism.
How many Latinos on that? But I'll tell you. How many Latinos on that editorial board?
1.
And where is she now?
She's on a leave at Harvard.
So when they made this decision, how many were on there?
There was 0.
0.
Right.
Okay. Now remember, this is a progressive, liberal establishment that prides itself in being just that, right? So there was the irony, because let's start. The Herald didn't surprise, right? I mean, let's be honest with the conversations that we had in the community. You were one of the ones that said it. The Herald didn't describe. But for the Boston Globe, who's always championing these stories and supposedly doing this, to do that and then not disclose why they chose that, I thought was also a part of the story. So, Elich, one of your friends was the first to write about this. I know you're
Yeah.
here to talk about Jolgorio, but you have your opinions on this too.
Yeah. Well, first of all, shout out to Pam Lanes. Pamela Lanes is the vice president of the TAG Association, and she does her post on Mediums, and was the first, I would say, from my recollection, to elevate the fact that our community continues to be overlooked in this process. I just want to add to this that this is not just an electoral issue, it's a systemic issue. Yeah. Think about the fact that our students are the predominant student population in Boston Public Schools, which could be undercounted, by the way, because some of our communities don't necessarily check off Latino or Hispanic for fear of being stigmatized and other issues. But how many times have we overlooked really qualified Latino superintendents, candidates, right? Really qualified that come back to lead in other capacities, but they're overlooked in processes, overlooked in leadership positions, not just at the top level, but in all the other levels. Or the turnover becomes quick because instead of valuing the leadership that we bring, particularly those of us who are from Boston, and I'm gonna with all the love and respect of my Latino leaders that are not from here, there is a real space or a real gap for opportunity for Latinos that come out of Boston Public Schools to really lead their own city. It's like there's not a perception that if you were born and raised and educated here, you're not actually well equipped to lead here, and that's absolutely incorrect. I think people like Pam Lanes, I'm going to say like myself, and so many others, the Arroyos, we show that is actually not the case. There's so many great leaders. Enrique Pepin, he's born and raised in Boston. He's a TAG alum. Alejandra Valdez, Alexandra, who ran and got over 20,000 votes, TAG alum as well, went through the Boston Public School system. Ruth C. Louijen, who's our president, I would embrace her as a Latina, as a Haitian sister. She's also educated through the Boston Public Schools. We are prepared to, and we do the work of equipping our young people to lead. We just have to do the work to honor that.
Okay.
So let me tell you something that's happening from this, because I always try to look at this from the opportunity perspective, right? We have to take some responsibility too to say, hey, now we're going to make some noise. We're going to write more op-eds. We're going to write more letters. We're going to get our name in there. And once we get 10 or 15 things in and they're still not publishing, then we call and say, hey, what's going on here? You know, there was some feedback that maybe we weren't supplying enough. I know I'm a good writer. I'll get that in, right? But what's happening right now, because I have a kid in high school. She's a freshman in high school. She listens to my conversations, and there are other kids in high school and some kids that live at Eva that are in high school, right? These are all Latinos. And when she hears me, she's like, do they know that every 30 seconds a Latino turns 18? Do you know what that means? That means that every 30 seconds a Latino can vote.
As a voter.
She says that. So I'm encouraging her and her friends that are Latinos to get involved in the dialogue. Send an op-ed to say, hey guys, start paying attention to us. 45% of us are in the Boston public schools, okay? We're gonna vote, and we're actually involved, right? We actually have parents, how many of us sit around and talk politics with our kids nearby, and they're asking, hey, are you gonna vote for Wu? Are you gonna vote for, because they're interested. So I think the moment that we're seizing right now, and Unidos is a perfect time for this, is how do we come together to turn an opportunity like this into a fruitful one for our community? Mm-hmm.
So what did happen subsequent to the meeting with the Boston Globe? Tell us a little bit more details, Celine. Were you at that meeting?
No, I think Grace can.
But there's some concrete things that did come out.
Well, one of them was we wrote an op-ed, which got published in the Boston Business Journal, that kind of said, hey, here's what happened, and it brought a lot of awareness.
But not in the Globe.
Not in the Globe. We didn't submit to the Globe, to be honest, to the BBJ, and they published it. And since then, we've been having conversations with the Globe, who's been very open, I have to say, and very inviting. I think sometimes, Alberto, and I don't want to be that Latina that takes on the blame for things, because there's clearly an omission here, right? And as Doug says, he's been doing this for a long time, he's never seen it happen. But I think that there is an opportunity for us to be a little bit louder. We tend, and Selena and I have this conversation all the time, we tend to be, bueno, lo bueno es que gracias a Dios, we have enough, we have each other. No, we don't have enough. We do have each other, but we don't have enough. How do we come to the table and ask for more? Not of what we can take, of what we can give, right? Because when the Latinos come to the table, it does create a richer environment. It creates a more expansive environment. We bring different gifts, and the community and the city deserves and needs that from us. So how do we show up to do that, right? And I mean, Selena, we have these conversations all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's, we do need to make more noise. We also need to hold people accountable. I think that there's, people think cyclically, like there's like the racial reckoning, right? And there's like a lot of organizations looked inside and looked at their leadership and then now it's like, oh, that's over now. And now we go back to business as usual. And it's like, no, we're still here. We're still constituents, we're still contributors, we're still the ones keeping this economy going, and we still need a seat at the table. So I think it's our job as people who have been in leadership positions or who are older to keep the pressure on and to make ourselves heard and known that we have a lot to offer here.
And we not just be loud, our voices, but loud in voting.
Yeah.
Part of the reason sometimes our community is overlooked is that we don't always come out and vote. And I know it's tough sometimes. I know I don't accept people just saying, oh, it doesn't make a difference. It does make a difference. And I get angry when people who don't vote and complain. And sometimes I get it. On election day, people have families, 2 jobs, it's hard. But it's now easier to vote. Sometimes, there's, at least here in Boston and Massachusetts, you have early voting, 10 days to go in and vote at your polling stations. You can mail in ballots beforehand. So there are a lot more options now than there were before in the last 5 years. So please, I think, and not just us that vote, when it's election time, I'm always asking my neighbors, my family, my friends, hey, did you vote? Don't forget to vote. I borderline become a little aggressive and annoying, but that's what it takes. We need to hold our neighbors, our family accountable and make sure that we vote. This past election, in general, voter turnout was abysmal. Granted, there wasn't a competitive mayoral race, which is part of it, but I think around 20% came out to vote, and even lower in Latino communities like Hyde Park and East Boston. So we have to, mi gente, we have to come out to vote. Hay que votar.
Yeah, and for the record, Doug is not only annoying during voting time, he's annoying during the whole year. Trust me. He's calling on the media all of the time. So it's not just...
But Doug, tell them why. Tell them how politicians use the voting data.
Because they pay attention to that. They look at that data and they are going to pay attention to the constituents who help elect them, who vote. They pay attention, sadly, to the money that's donated. Unfortunately, that's another discussion for another day. Money is a big part of politics, but who votes? So money and voters. And so that's how they will address issues or prioritize issues that come to mind. And sometimes if we don't vote, it's hard to complain and we're overlooked. So we have to keep pushing all our people to come out and vote.
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed over the last 10 years, and I say this to our GBH audience, is we are taking more accountability. I liked what you're saying. We are not just asking, but we're also, trust me, behind the cameras, saying to our community, if you're going to complain, you have to vote. If you're registered, go out and vote. It does you no good to be registered and not exercise that vote. Absolutely. You can't complain if you didn't come out to vote, and you could have. So we're doing that in other cases too, as well. So it's not just complaining, we're trying to do as much as possible. Now, before I get to El Jolgorio, which, you know what El Jolgorio is, right?
I do.
El Jolgorio, you know what it is? You know what it is?
Of course.
I know what it is. Sandra knows what it is. But, hey, do you know what El Jolgorio is? No idea? How about you? No? No? You don't know? My partner? All right, you're going to learn in 5 minutes. I'm going to invite you to one of the best times, Christmas times around. But before I get to that, I want to give Doug the stage here, because you're sending me these press releases on this ranked choice voting. Look at your camera. What is this? Explain it to the audience, because I think it's important that we at least mention it here during the show.
It's a wonderful system on how we're always looking to improve democracy and make voting easier. So part of it is trying to make it easier for folks to vote, and ranked choice voting is something that we've been pushing. I've been part of a group, Ranked Choice Voting, Ranked Choice Massachusetts, Fair Vote. These are organizations that have been pushing across the country, not just in Massachusetts, to to make voting easier. And ranked choice was just used in New York City in the mayoral election, the primary in June. It's used in Maine. It's used in Portland. It's used in various cities in Alaska, across the state. And it's simple. It's voting. It's not more complicated for the voter. I was reading data that 90% of Latinos who voted in New York City primary said it was easy. They understood it. And you're essentially voting, ranking. Who's my first choice? Who's my second choice? Who's my third choice?
All right, so let's do it. Let's do an example here. Let's just say we were all running for office. Grace, yes, you're the voter, right? Who would be your number one between Elite and me? And remember who the host is, by the way.
Well, I'm
Remember who's
telling you
hosting the
right
party?
now.
I want to know, right? Do you want to know?
Remember who's
I wanna
hosting the
know.
party, Doug?
Yeah, exactly. Let's get tickets to the fact.
Hey, I want to know now.
Yeah. No, who would be your number one?
Luckily, when you actually rank him, it's private, and no one will know.
Oh, you want to go the private route. Oh,
But I will tell you, my number 4 choice would be Alberto.
that's fine.
And then I would have a tough time deciding.
Dude, let me tell you.
My 3 colleagues here.
My number 4 choice would be me if I was not running against them. So we're in.
But it's important just because it involves people more. It angers me that we have across the state 2 congressmen, who I won't mention, who won with 22% of the vote. I don't think anyone should represent a community or a district with just 22% of the vote. If we had ranked choice voting, it would go to the second choice votes till someone got to 50. Now, if someone got to 50 off the bat, that's it, they win. So this is a much more fair system, and it pushes for more diverse candidates. Sometimes a Latino wants to run for office, but says, oh, I don't want to run against another Latino or another person of color. Here, with ranked choice, that eliminates that because people can rank them, and you're not competing directly with one vote for that with that person.
But let's talk about something else, right? Which because we're a very diverse audience, right? Let me explain something. In Lawrence, for example, people don't vote for a candidate just because they're Latino.
Claro.
They vote because in Lawrence, everybody's Latino that are running, right? So now it becomes policy. Now it becomes who's better for you. So I always commend the city of Lawrence because they're actually voting the way you're supposed to be, right? Who's better for me? Who do I understand better? Whose policy is better for me? Because we do run the danger if we only look at candidates based on their race, their gender, or their ethnicity. We've always talked about that. So there's a representation issue, but then there's also who's the better candidate. Have you voted for other candidates that are not?
Of course.
Can I challenge that notion, though?
Oh,
Alberto?
absolutely.
I think it's a fallacy or a misconception, I would say, grounded on racism, that we have candidates that are not qualified. Just to get to the place where you're at a platform, you have to do way more as a Latino and a Black person to earn the respect, to raise the funds than a typical
In
white
Boston.
person
But not in
across the
Lawrence.
country.
No, but not in Lawrence.
But what I'm
That's what I'm
saying is, I think the idea that we're just voting folks in on identity is just it comes from a racist narrative that we just want to see ourselves up there. I don't think that's true of the Latino populace. That's just my
No, but there's
belief,
also
and I think
I'll
it's
give you
I
an
think
example.
I just want to highlight the
but I
racist
think,
underpinnings.
But I think
in that idea.
yeah, but I agree with that. But there's the accessibility, right? It's you could be voting for somebody because they're from your neighborhood, that you know them,
Claro.
you grew up with them, you went to high school, and they also agree with the way you were brought up. They may be, look, let's break it down, which Latinos do not like to talk about is, because if you go that way, then I'm only going to vote for the Cuban, not for the Puerto Rican. I'm only going to go for, so if we dispel that is, I'm going to vote for the best candidate, if he's Irish or he's Italian. Now, what you're saying is 100% true, which is more difficult in my city, Boston, historically, for us to have candidates who are qualified because they're out there. But then they don't have the other challenges because we have, as you said, to me, Boston born and raised and educated people who should be in leadership positions, and they're not. And I'm sorry, but no, I'm not going to call you a carpetbagger. No. But you were from New York.
Born and raised in New York City.
Where did you come from?
Mexico.
Mexico. And where did you come from?
Ohio.
Ohio. Me and you are the Bostonians.
There it is.
So we need more of us too.
But Boston is for everyone.
It
Yes,
is.
You see, I told you.
Boston's been my home for
welcome.
many years,
Yeah,
decades.
but you cannot talk because you want to see me sink them real quick. You're a Yankees fan.
Absolutely.
Oh no.
Oh,
But,
You
but
don't-
let me be very clear though. If a Latino I'm a Latina, okay? And if a Latino's not at their table where decisions are being made about me, there is a big misrepresentation of what I might need, okay? So if I'm sitting down and I'm building a team and I have a representation of 20% of my state, of my city is Latino, and 45% of the kids graduating from the schools here are Latinos, I'm gonna want a Latino or a Latina at the table to help me make those decisions. Because one of the things that happened at the Globe is that Marcela was on leave. I don't think this would have happened if Marcela would have been like, hold on, guys.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
we need to look at this from a different angle.
Right.
It's not because they're bad guys, not at all, but
Right.
because that perspective is not there. Look,
Right.
as a parent, I sit in many groups where kids are not considered because there's nobody there but another parent. Then you have to say, hey, you know, Saturday at 10 o'clock is a really hard time for me because my kids are here and there, and they're like, oh yeah, people have kids, right? Every group needs to be represented for decisions to be made by everybody that is going to be in that decision. So in that way, we need to be at those tables. We
Right.
need to be elected for office. We need to be in the executive order of the governor's council, of the governor's secretariats, of the governor's, you know, different things. We need to represent across the state. We need to represent corporate in corporate boards,
Right.
in senior positions, and we need to do that by going in to do it, to
But-
apply.
But, and again, we are having a frank discussion. The Healy administration has been at least behind closed doors, so what I may say, maybe the first time anyway public says, but there are a lot of Latinos being right now very critical of the Healy administration because of exactly what you said. There is a lack, because of John Santiago stepping down. Who do we have at that level at the administration?
We
Who?
don't right now.
We don't. Is that upsetting to you?
Absolutely.
You've said that to
We
me.
have to hold everybody accountable. Democrats, it doesn't matter what party.
Doesn't matter.
Yep. All right. Can we turn the page to something fun?
Yes.
Yes,
Do it,
absolutely.
yes.
All right,
yes.
who wants to have some fun? I know I do. What are you doing December 13th, Saturday night? I'm not asking you out for a date, so don't get happy.
Careful, be careful,
Yeah,
that's what happened.
You can be my wingman. All right. December 13th, El Jolgorio Navideño.
Yes.
What is that, Ilich?
Yes, thank you. It is the largest Latino holiday gala in New England. It started 36 years ago by the incredible Puerto Rican leaders that were here in Boston who were nostalgic for the traditions and the celebrations of Puerto Rico, and they created this space that as the community grew, so did the diversity that it celebrates. So now it went from being just a very Puerto Rican event to being one embracing and celebrating the entire Latino community across New England. And so we invite you all to join us on December 13th, right here at the Westin Copley. It's going to be an amazing evening where we lift up Latino leadership, we celebrate, we dance, so bring your dancing shoes, and we raise critical funds for programs like the TAG program.
Don't they say that a picture's worth 1,000 words?
Yeah.
I think we have a series of photos that can take us through this. So I'm going to ask our wonderful production department right behind us to let's go through a series of photos, because this is from last year or for previous
last year.
events?
This
So
is
this
from
is
last
just
time.
from
This
last
is from
year.
last year.
All right, so let's take a quick look at some of these photos.
Yep.
Oh yeah, what's that?
You can see the intergenerational community that comes together. Those are the Tres Reyes.
Yep.
Thanks, shout out to V-Rock for bringing the Reyes to El Jolgorio. And we have some alumni and children, and it's a beautiful community that comes together.
All right, let's take a look at another photo, because I know we have a series of photos that kind of capture the essence. Where's it going to be again this year?
At the Westin Copley, right here at 7 p.m., you're going to have dinner, a beautiful celebration of leadership, and then a lot of dancing with live music and a great DJ.
All right, let's continue to look at some of the pretty people that
You can see the party.
Oh, there
you
we go.
Judas.
There we go. Little Saturday Night Fever right there.
Just to make clear, everyone's invited.
Everybody.
Everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Black, white, Asian.
You're invited, bro.
Everyone's invited.
And
All right.
we see here Carolyn Crockett is had joined us last year and has joined us for a few years, a professor at MIT. So, I mean, yeah, it's a community event. Come, if you're not familiar with the Latino culture and the way in which we celebrate Christmas, this is the opportunity for you to fall in love.
Bring your dancing shoes.
Yes, bring your dance. It's a fun program. It's a good vibe.
Absolutely.
And it's been going on for 36 years. So this is.
And I gotta
this has
tell
got
you-
some tradition, right?
We just did the tasting at the Westin Copley, and that food is going to be delicious. So you're going to be very, very happy.
Excellent. All right. And, oh, by the way, you're also honoring some folks.
We are honoring 3 amazing individuals, yes. So we're honoring with a Lifetime Achievement Award Dr. Steve Fernandez, who is a professor at UMass Amherst, but was for a long time a Boston Public Schools educator, one of the first early activists that called out the achievement gap and the opportunity gap. So he's our lifetime honoree. We're honoring Vania Arroyo in Black Brown Boston that's been doing incredible work to bring together the Black and Brown communities and to really right now uplift the importance of mental health and advancing our ability to maintain strong mental health. And then Steve Osemahai, who's a TAG Alumni of the Year, who has been also the photographer, so all those beautiful pictures, he took it, but he's been doing
That's
incredible.
him.
Yeah.
I knew I recognized Steve.
He
Yes.
does incredible work using his art and his
Yes.
lens to really elevate the stories of Black and Brown communities and celebrate authenticity and identity. So we're really proud to celebrate these incredible leaders.
All right. So when you see that, what do you think of, Grace?
I think of a good time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think of a good
How
time.
about you,
And it's-
Selena?
I just think of, I'm Venezuelan, so Christmas is always a joyful, you dance. It's not like sitting by the fire contemplating the snow. It's like come together, you dance, it's intergenerational, there's good food, and I'm so grateful that we have that here in Boston.
All right, so we've got less than 10 minutes to go. So this is what I call rapid fire. We talked about some serious subject matter. We've talked about this. I want the audience, all of you over there, especially you over there, you look pretty curious guy, to learn a little bit about these folks, a little bit more about their, who they are. So I'm going to start with Selena because you've had a journey to get here to Boston, Massachusetts. Tell me about how you got to Boston, what you've been doing, and really a little bit more.
I came here 2000, 2001. My sister was living here. That's the real story. But I was fresh out of college and wanted to be a community organizer. And so I was looking at Boston and New York City because I just love the East Coast. I wanted a bigger city than what I grew up in. And started working here with OISTE, the Latino political organization, which I think was a little bit of, we're sort of following in OISTE's footsteps by now being a part of Unidos.
Excellent. All right. How about you, Grace?
I was born and raised in Monterrey, Mexico. I came here because my parents brought me to get an education, to live a better life.
To Boston?
No, to Houston, Texas.
Ah, okay.
So I came to Boston because I wanted to get as far away from the South as possible. Not just because of the weather. I hate the heat. I'm actually one of the few people who love it, that it's cold up here. But also just because it wasn't liberal down there. It wasn't the right thinking. And found that in the good Latino family, it was good to get away for a little bit and, build your own space and time. And got involved in OISTE, actually, pretty soon on. So we've known each other since we were little bitty. I mean, her more little bitty than me. But yeah, it was the energy of Latinos at the time. Arroyo was running, and also the first senator in the Senate, who happened to be a gay man and a Latino, and he was openly gay. I was also gay, coming into this so welcoming, first set of Latinos that were welcoming to an LGBT person. So I've seen a lot happen. And the thing that I want to say, Alberto, and I want everybody out there to hear and to understand, the reason I'm so passionate about Unidos is because we tried to do it a long time ago. We tried to bring together people. What we didn't have was the ability to have some high-ranking people who were willing to open some doors for us when we couldn't do it. The other thing we didn't have at the time was the fact that now we really need to be unified. We're going to have differences. I'm telling you, the five of us right here will not agree on everything. But I will be damned if we cannot close the door to this room and come up with a unified voice to go out there together. I'm going to get 80%. You're going to get 60% next time. Next time, you're going to get 80. You're going to get 100 because you're right. But we're going to go out there, and we're going to go out with one message, okay? And we're going to stick to that message. It's the only way that we are going to be able to make progress, okay? And then next time, we're going to yield to the other, right? Okay? And we have to be able to do that. We have to be able to do politics and policy and everything else that needs to be done as good as we do a Jolgorio.
Yeah.
Okay? Because when we go to the Jolgorio, everybody forgets where they're from, what their politics are. We all dance with each other. We need to be having that dance out here in the world where it matters.
I love that.
Very good. Doug, tell me a little bit about your story.
As we've mentioned many times, born and raised in New York City, but I came to Boston, to Massachusetts at a very early age. I won't say when because I don't want to date myself, but I came to Boston to attend Milton Academy. private boarding school. I received a scholarship through a Better Chance. Same organization that brought then Governor Patrick from Chicago back in the day to Milton Academy. I was lucky that when I got to Milton, which was a hard adjustment going to a school like that, from the South Bronx, son of immigrants, first going to college, and it was difficult. So they had a host family program, and my host family was a young lawyer named Deval Patrick and his wife Diane Patrick, both two young lawyers, amazing people. So I stayed in touch with them. Fast forward, I went to college in Philly, UPenn, went back to New York, and then when Governor Patrick ran for office, I quit my job, came up here, and the rest is history. So that's how I I blame Deval, Governor Patrick, for getting me involved in politics.
Good. Now I know who to blame. I'm going to call them all. What did you do? Just kidding. So you tell me your story. I know you're a Bostonian.
Yes, proudly. One of the few remaining lifelong Alston Brighton residents, too. So born and raised in Boston, educated from Head Start all the way through my PhD with a short stint at BC for my undergrad and my master's. I was raised by this program called TAG, Talented and Gifted Latino Program in UMass Boston, that allowed me to see the beauty in my culture, and you see that as an asset, right, and bring that into spaces. So I ran TAG for a long time. I was in TAG, I ran TAG, took a leave of that to serve in the mayor's office under the Walsh administration. That's where I met Selena. And then went to the Boston Public Schools, because education is truly my passion. Was last an assistant superintendent there, left to finish this doctorate that actually focused on TAG and did a research study on its impact over the last 30 years, 40 years now. And so now I'm consulting and working to really ramp up TAG and rebuild it so it can continue to serve the students as they need it today.
Excellent. All right. So I think we've covered all the bases, right?
Feels like
We've
it.
talked a little bit about what was the kind of big issue. Now we know the big party. We've got to know, and we give some variety because we've got all these different countries involved, and the one unifier is we all love Boston. So, and I love the audience. What did you think of the audience? Were they good? Can we give a round of applause for the audience? Absolutely. So with this, I think we could say goodbye and say, don't forget to tune in next time. Amplify GBH. This is where we do it in front of a live audience. I want to give a special shout out to my friends at Carolicious. Where's Carolicious? Carolicious! Venezuelan food here at the Boston Public Library.
Yes.
¿Cómo están ustedes? Chama, chama. He doesn't hear me.
Busy taking care of customers.
I'm just trying to get a free arepa. All right,
We'll see.
everybody.
Holidays.
We'll see you on the
Arepa,
13th.
wait. You want to see a fight happen right now?
A ver.
Arepa is from Colombia or Venezuela?
Venezuela.
Colombia.
Oh, yeah, with that, we'll let you go. All right, everybody. See you next time right here from the News Cafe. Bye-bye. Have a great day.